A UFC fighter requires a well-rounded game and a great deal of experience in the cage to hang with the best fighters in the world. Some fighters have developed themselves into complete fighters and have gone on to do big things in the UFC, but there are some fighters in the UFC who are talented but need time to develop their overall game. So here is 5 fighters who need time to develop their skills. Number 5. Paige VanZant is a strawweight fighter who holds a professional mixed martial arts record of 7 wins and 3 losses. She made her UFC debut defeating Kaylin Curran by TKO at UFC Fight 57. She next dominated Felice Herrig to win the fight by unanimous decision and next submitted Alex Chambers via an armbar at UFC 191. With 3 solid wins in the UFC, Paige VanZant was slowly gaining attention and started to make her way up the strawweight ladder. She next faced her true test in late replacement Rose Namajunas, where she was beat down and submitted by a rear naked choke at UFC Fight 80. She made her comeback, knocking out Beck Rawlings with the switch kick at UFC on Fox 22. She was last choked unconscious by Michelle Waterson at UFC on Fox 24. At the age of 23, she has done very well in her UFC career so far, where she has demonstrated that she has what it takes to hang with the best strawweights in the world, but she still has many things to work on to make herself a well-rounded fighter. She definitely has the talent and the enthusiasm to go a long way in a young MMA career. She is so young in the sport, and with time, she will develop into a true challenger in the UFC strawweight division. Number 4. Sage Northcutt is both a UFC welterweight and lightweight fighter who holds a professional mixed martial arts record of 8 wins and 2 losses. He made his UFC debut dismantling Francisco Trinaldo in the first round at UFC 192. He next submitted Cody Pfister via guillotine choke in the second round at UFC Fight 80. After 2 very dominant wins, the UFC decided to give him a step up in competition and booked him against Brian Barberina at UFC on Fox 18, where he lost the fight by an arm triangle choke in the second round. He bounced back from his loss, defeating Enrique Marin by a unanimous decision, and last lost to Mickey Gall by a rear naked choke in the second round at UFC on Fox 22. At the age of 20, he has done remarkably well so far in the UFC, which shows that he has massive potential to become a big superstar in the future. However, his overall game is not fully complete and definitely needs time to work on his skills. His striking skills are one of the best, and he definitely has what it takes to be a future title contender. He is so young in the sport and has plenty of time to take his skills to new heights. Number 3. Alex Chambers is a UFC strawweight fighter who holds a professional mixed martial arts record of 5 wins and 3 losses. She made her UFC debut, losing to Aisling Daly by an armbar in the first round at the Ultimate Fighter 20 finale. She next defeated Kaylin Curran by an armbar in the third round at UFC Fight 65. She last fought Paige VanZant at UFC 191, where she lost the fight by an armbar in the third round. She is 1-2 in her UFC career, where she definitely needs time to develop her overall game. She has shown great determination and toughness inside the octagon, but with the age of 38, she desperately needs to spend time working on her weaknesses, otherwise I believe another loss will force the UFC to let her go. Number 2. Kaylin Curran is a UFC strawweight fighter who holds a professional mixed martial arts record of 4 wins and 4 losses. She made her UFC debut, losing to Paige VanZant by TKO in the third round at UFC Fight 57. She next lost to Alex Chambers at UFC Fight 65, and she finally got a W over Emily Kagan at UFC Fight 80, and then lost to both Felice Herrig at UFC on Fox 20, and more recently to Jamie Moyle at the Ultimate Fighter 24 finale. She has had a rough time putting together some wins, where she is 1-4 in her last 5 fights. At the age of 26, she has plenty of time to work on her weaknesses and to develop her overall game. She is a young talented strawweight fighter who has so much potential, and I believe she needs to take time off and try out different things in her training, which will enable her to come back stronger than ever. Number 1. Amanda Cooper is a UFC strawweight fighter who holds a professional mixed martial arts record of 2 wins and 3 losses. She competed on the Ultimate Fighter Season 23 with the record of 1 win and 1 loss. She made it into the finals against the highly talented Tatiana Suarez, where she lost the fight by submission via a Darce choke in the first round. She next defeated Anna Elmos, and more recently lost to Cynthia Calvillo by submission via a rear naked choke in the first round at UFC 209. She is 25 years old and has so much potential to do big things, but I believe she needs to take a break from active competition and work on her holds in the game. She is so young in the sport and has plenty of time to take her skills to new heights and reach her full potential. I believe if she had more fights under her belt outside of the UFC, she would definitely have success against the best strawweights in the UFC.